further ado, I'd like to welcome our first of our 4 great speakers we've got in this session, Markus Tober, everybody.
Cool. Oh my God, I only see the light. Almost nobody I can see here, only the first rows. But normally the first ritual is always make a selfie with everybody here on stage. So let's check if that works. Awesome, so I'm done, thank you. So this is the links track. So everybody's here to also get a lot of stuff about links. So that's why I prepared a lot of stuff for links. But actually we also need to talk about the future. And part of the future is to really think about how is search going to be in the future? How is it now? As you know, Search Metrics, we're a company, we do everything with love. Out of Berlin, but of course we have our offices also here in the UK, in London. Really good people you should talk to. I'm the founder of Search Metrics, but I'm the guy who's running the product, and also I'm most interested, or I'm really curious about the data and what's going on. That's why I have a lot of examples that I bring with me, and that's why I'm really happy to be here and to show you a lot of cool new stuff. And absolutely, of course, the secret sauce is our software, not to forget. So the theme that I bring with me is, of course, based on my passion of Star Wars. You can download the slides, by the way, on the website, so you don't need to take notes. You can download everything. And by the way, the slide deck that I put up on our server is longer than the slide deck that I have here, because I took out a lot of slides. And like in every Star Wars movie, there's a disclaimer, right? So there's a story. A long time ago in a Google desktop galaxy far, far away, old SEO tactics led to success. The frequent use of keywords and building a dubious backlink architecture secured high organic rankings. That's something I could definitely talked about maybe 5 years ago here in Brighton. But the whole thing is, a lot of stuff has changed. If you follow the news, every day you get new news about self-driving cars. For example, Elon Musk just said here in Finland, he's working on a project with the government in Norway also, that they want to have self-driving cars very soon. Austria, it's interesting, so Christoph is here, good friend of mine from Austria. Austria wants to have, by 2020, only electric cars in the cities. It's crazy. In 2020, it's in 4 years. So a lot of stuff is going on. So we should definitely also talk about what's going on in search. And this is what I believe. A lot of stuff that I'm bringing with me is examples where it's not possible anymore to explain the results with traditional ranking factors. That's why I have a lot of stuff here. Take number 1. Take Google's intelligence. Google is not just a search engine, it's a data company, and with many, many smart people behind. So I have a good example that was just recently in the news. And before we start, the whole thing is a little bit about the old and the new factors. I call it the good and the bad stuff. So the typical stuff like, hey, check this SEO, put keyword here, put the keyword there, do some link building. I mean, all these kinds of things. These tactics, I believe they're gone. That doesn't mean that doing change on the website is that's gone, but follow just a stupid checklist, this is gone. And then there's the new SEO, the good SEO, which is all about content quality, the user intention, the experience that the people will have with the content. And I will tell you, I have so many good examples. You will change your mind after the presentation. Click. Perfect. Here's one example. If you search in Google, movie where they make fun of Star Wars, first result is Spaceballs. If you do another search, movie with 4 guys in Las Vegas, you get The Hangover. If you make other requests like, as a cafe owner, how can SEO help? You get 5 local SEO tips for restaurants. So these kinds of things, like people have questions or they articulate their problems in a search engine, this is something that's reality. People want to have answers to their questions. And if they want to have an answer, it really doesn't matter if there's a website who's only following a checklist, that this website is more important than maybe another website who have better useful information but didn't follow the typical checklist. And that's something that's reality already, and that's why if you really want to think about the future of SEO, you need also to think about the future of Google. And there's a program, a computer program called AlphaGo that recently won against the world best player in Go. And that's why I have a small excursus in machine learning. So important is that if you take a look on the whole spectrum of intelligence, machine learning, deep learning, and then artificial intelligence, this is a path that Google is following since a long time. So Google, for example, hired a guy called Geoffrey Hinton in 2011. He's the guy who wrote the core algorithms in deep learning. He works in Google since 2011, and he works on a project that Google calls internally Google Brain, not Rank Brain, Google Brain. Google bought a company, DeepMind, a UK-based company 2 years ago, and they developed AlphaGo. So that's a typical machine learning application that everybody of you know, but if you go further with deep learning, you should talk about this. So Go is a game that deemed uncrackable by machines because the number of possible positions in Go, they're so enormous, no computer wasn't able to kind of calculate all the possible positions. It deemed uncrackable until Google came. And is Go really that hard? If you see the number of possible moves in a chess game, which in the 90s was very popular because IBM with Deep Blue won against Garry Kasparov. So, but if you see the possible moves in chess is 10 to the power of 50, and if you compare it to Go, it's 10 to the power of 171. That's much, much more than even the number of atoms in the observable universe. It's a pretty large number, by the way. And that was the reason why no computer program could win. But Google won, they won 4-1. The best Go players in the world who commented on the game live, it was live streamed on YouTube, they gave comments like, AlphaGo is playing godlike. Because AlphaGo made moves that no human ever made before. And this is part of Google. And this is what we have to keep in mind, how Google is going to develop stuff. That's why I brought a couple interesting examples with me. Okay, so we don't need to talk about this. So why do traditional SEO ranking factors fail? Next part. If you're in different industries, so one of you maybe is in e-commerce, very competitive, another one is maybe in finance, also very competitive, but completely different user intention. Another one maybe is in health, different in user intention either. So we took a look on different ranking factors in different industries. So this is what we did. So we took e-commerce, finance, and health, and we checked the typical ranking factors against these industries. And here's a couple numbers about backlinks. So if you take referring domains, not backlinks, Christoph, referring domains, you will see that there's a pretty positive and good correlation of the amount of backlinks on good rankings. So on the x-axis, you see the positions in Google. On the y-axis, you see the average number on each position. You see that there's a nice positive correlation of being on a better position means I have more incoming backlinks or from referring domains. But if you make this analysis for health, it looks very different. The average amount of backlinks is way, way lower. Also, the first rankings, they have many less links than rankings on position 7, 9, and so on. If you do the same for finance, you even have a negative correlation. That means that the results on the first page of Google, they have less backlinks than results on the second and the third page. So that brought us, or led us that we thought about all these kinds of things. And we continue this stuff. So we see here that's a positive correlation. So it seems that in e-commerce, backlinks have a higher weight than, for example, in finance. It's very similar if you do it with the total number of backlinks, but that should definitely lead to a couple more ideas. So does it mean that Google is going to destroy the relevance of backlinks for ranking in the future? I don't think that Google is going away from the whole link scheme itself, but if we think about app streaming, if we think about what the user really wants, if the user is making a query, the weight of links is definitely going to be lower. And if you have app streaming and nobody can link to a content within an app, Google is going to rank content without having any backlinks to this content. A couple examples, if you search for cash advance, Fresno, California, you have one page who's ranking better than another one. On the left, a page with only a couple incoming links, only a couple internal links, and then you have another page from a brand, Yellow Pages, with a lot of backlinks and a lot of internal links. But it's very hard to explain just by rough numbers why one page is ranking better than another one. Another example, very competitive fast cash credit card. On the left, we have a blog post. It's not optimized, has 10 times less links than the page on the right, which is better optimized with the keyword in the title. So it's very hard to explain why one page is ranking than another one just by looking at numbers. Take another typical ranking factor, the keyword in the title. So if you just see the numbers, you see here on the y-axis that for e-commerce and health, the average is that 33%, so 1/3 of all pages have the keyword in the title. If you compare this to finance, it's interesting, it's only 10%. Only 1 out of 10 pages has the keyword in the title. And I have another example. I don't have it in my presentation, but we had an event on Wednesday in Munich where a company name was Spring Lane. They are in the food industry. And what they did is they changed a page where the keyword was in the title. They changed the title to be more engaging, but they took the keyword out. And what happened is they increased in rankings because their title was much more engaging. They increased the click-through rate, and they took the keyword out, but they increased in rankings because the title was more engaging. That's something you should think about. Not that the keyword is not important anymore, but important are user signals, click-through rate, and so on. Or take word count. I mean, a couple of years ago, I was saying, hey, if you have longer text, it's more likely that you get better rankings, but we wanted to understand, does it really make sense also for every industry? If you take finance, for example, it's a very low correlation of having more content on the page. So you see that the average amount of words in the top 10 is only 1,500. If you compare this to e-commerce and health, it's a very different picture. So in e-commerce, the average number of words is 3,000 for what we have measured. So it means that if I take a look on general ranking factors, maybe I'm misguided because for my industry, it's possibly very different. And I will also explain why. I have an example here that's very popular in the beginning of the year, natural detox, when people think about kind of changing their nutrition. I have one example here on the left, page with 3,000 words compared to another page with 6,000 words on the right. One page ranks on the first page on Google, the other one on the third page. From only looking at the numbers, the page that is ranking on the right should be better. But it's not true, because if you really take a look on this page that here is ranking on number 5, it looks like a lot of content, just content. But if you really read the content, I really get useful information about natural detox, how to detox my body, which smoothies make sense, and all these kinds of things. So from a subjective, personal perspective, this page is much better optimized. But let's continue. So why do also traditional ranking factors will fail? It's because, I mean, when I look in the audience, I see that many people use their smartphones, hopefully not to play games. You should definitely pay attention. So the whole mobile customer journey is also going to change the whole game, because in mobile, here this is for shopping, for example, organic search is very important. In another example, beauty and fitness, here social is maybe the kickoff, then there's organic search. Another example here in finance, there's organic search somewhere else. But the customer journey, if you look at desktop usage and mobile usage, when and how they use it, and how the results are looking like, they're very different. So just an example. Here you see on the left, you see, or on the, number A is calendar, and B is NFL schedules. If you look at the keywords that people use on the desktop, they're kind of classical keywords, right? Like solitaire, calendar, mail, and so on. On the right, you see what people search on the go, like NFL scores, schedules, and so on. Different behavior, so the people have a different intention how to consume content. That's also something we have to keep in mind. Or if you search for something like dating on Google, you get a desktop, you get a very boring results, typical 10 blue links. If you do the same on a mobile device, here that's an iPad, you see first you see the app pack, and you only get 2 organic rankings, and one of it is Wikipedia, so you only get 1 organic ranking actually. So very different. Then we looked at the share, how many app integrations were there already for the 3 different industries we analyzed. So we see that in finance and e-commerce, it's already over 10%. It means for over 10% of all the queries we analyzed on a mobile phone, we had at least 1 app integration. Could be 1 app or could be an app pack with 3 or 6 apps in it. In health, it's only 3% because the knowledge graph is more important in health. And of course, you can track everything within the search metrics suite, which also means app rankings. Then we looked at differences between desktop and mobile, and you also see the differences here. So like the usage of a keyword in the title tag. So on mobile devices, which is the blue line, it's a less usage, or it's less important that you have the keyword in title. Google is having a different order of the rankings. Same for internal link count. It means that the content and the internal links on a mobile device is way different because the user wants to get the information as fast as possible. I'm not spending as much attention than on a desktop. So it means if I have something on a mobile phone, it should be differently optimized. Same for the content length, the word count. And then I have something that's very important, the user intention you must think about. Yoda would say. So this is example is pretty cool. It's costume ideas, and I have 1 page here that ranks on number 1, which is Pop Sugar, and another page which is a shop, savers.com, rank on number 14. If you look at this page, that's Pop Sugar. If you do it on a desktop, it looks very similar. It's an image gallery with 60 images. Every image has a short description, but there's not a lot of text. But this page has a high social engagement, so people share all these images on Facebook, on Pinterest. So we see this page that the user intention is inspiration. If you look at savers.com, you also get images. It's also a nice looking page, but there's only general text on it. And actually, if you click on 1 image, it's not inspiration, it only goes into the shop. So you can only buy the stuff. It's interesting. So obviously, Savers is a shop, and Pop Sugar is an image gallery. And if you analyze the top 10 for costume ideas, you don't get shops ranking. So it means that the intention of the user obviously is to get inspired. They're not ready to buy. Maybe in the buying cycle, they're at the awareness stage. So if you are a shop and you want to have good rankings for costume ideas, it's unlikely that you can have good rankings with the shop page itself. You should create different content and then pull in the user and then maybe make a sale later. That's very important. So what is the result? So we are going to release new ranking factors this year in 2016. These ranking factors will have also relevance features included. That means for all these different industries, we will have different factors that kind of explain the relevance. It will also be available for multiple countries. It's a very complicated work, but as we have seen, it's so different now how Google is evaluating the content. That's something that we are going to do. But how to stay relevant? How can you stay out of the crowd? you also need to think about the content. So if you create content in the future, you need to think about the users and their problems. You need to think about what do they want. Is it more like text they want to consume? Or is it like images, like for costume ideas? Or is it like structured content? So if you want to become relevant for recipes, so if you have a really good apple cake recipe from your grandmother, you can't just write a long text on your blog and then you get good rankings, because people, when they want to read recipes, they need structured content because they want to follow the instructions. They can't just read in a full text. So it means you need a holistic data-driven approach. So I'm almost finished, but this example is pretty cool. So it's a pretty competitive term, mortgage. So there's one page on ranking number 2, which is Bankrate, and then there's the US bank, ranking number 10. And the US bank, they don't even use the term real estate on their page. But they want to sell mortgages. So how is that possible if they don't talk about the thing itself? So if you click on Bankrate also, you will see that they have a nice page with a calculator, they have a mortgage comparison, they have relevant information, they have a good help section. Of course, it's not a bank, so they are more neutral. But the user intention, obviously, for a mortgage is not to make a sale immediately. So they really try to help. If you click on US bank, you get a typical boring page. You get a very large visual, you get a call to action element, but actually that's it. It's a boring page and it is only optimized for the next click. In this big button here on the left, or it's not visible on the screen here, it shows pre-qualify. Oh my God, how engaging is that? Pre-qualify, wow. I'm thinking about a 500,000 mortgage, yeah, and I can pre-qualify myself. Thank you, US Bank. And if you also take a look at the historical development of Bankrate, you will see that in 2009, 12, and today, all the time they change their content because the user intention also changes. When in 2009, after the big financial crisis that were based on bad mortgages, you should see the movie The Big Short, by the way, good movie. They changed their website. So it's actually really cool, and that's why it's no wonder that Bankrate is really, really successful. So what is the result? So it means you need a data-driven approach. You need to be relevant to fulfill the user intention, and then you can be successful not only in search, also in all the other channels. So that was my presentation. May the success be with you. Thank you very much.